Welcome to the Emerging Lawyer Series at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Law, Literature, and Living Authentically. We have with us Zafira Hudani, New York licensed attorney, mediator, and arbitrator. With a career spanning legal administration, immigration law, and IP journalism, Zafira is redefining what it means to be a modern legal professional. From filing her own copyrights to contributing to leading global IP publication, she bridges intellect with emotion and legal clarity with creative expression. Join us as we explore the layers of a remarkable journey across borders, industries, and mediums. So, uh, by the way, Zafira is a multifaceted and deeply driven and attorney licensed in New York, a registered mediator, arbitrator in Georgia, and a gifted writer with poetic voice. So, wow. So, as we say in India, you are, what do you say, an epitome of Sri Shakti. So, I'm dedicating this episode to all those women achievers globally. Since now we are having this episode with someone from US. So welcome Zafira to today's coffee conversation.
Well, thank you for welcoming me. I think that was a beautiful introduction. Wow.
Okay, so there are more exciting things. So let me explain you. There are three rounds: professional journey, personal journey, and a surprise. The rapid fire round where you will be in the hot seat like you are with Coffee with Karan. So you have to be witty, fun, and here's your gift, which will be sent to you to your address, shaping the Gen Z lawyer for future.
Okay.
Which will be autographed and sent to you. So, friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation, legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. So, my first question, Zafira, how has the journey shaped up and what were the key defining moments you had?
Oh, my journey. Okay, so growing up, as I went into school, I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to go and cover stories and, inform people and meet everyone who was on the front line and kind of see where things were going day to day. But as you go through life, you go through school, you meet different people. I ended up meeting a bunch of attorneys, and then I looked at what I wanted to do as a journalist or a writer, and I found that there were a lot of similarities. As a journalist, you also do research, you look for the truth, you try and meet other people. In some way, you're communicating with others and you're also helping others. So I found the legal profession was a way to do that.
Wow. So, you started with immigration law. Any
Yeah.
challenging or memorable case you had?
In general, I started with immigration law because one, it's federal. You can practice pretty much anywhere in the country or in the world. I found that practicing immigration, you could help people who wanted to come and contribute to society. Uh, it was challenging, I guess, because I started my firm close to when COVID began. So it was difficult explaining to people, how things were changing constantly and, how the rules applied to them. And that was basically what kind of led me to transition more to the IP side of things, because even in IP law, you're helping people who have created things, but it's not as demanding and, as when people have to wait for immigration, it's difficult and daunting to kind of wait for things. So I found IP was a better way to help people create things and kind of get what they needed.
Wow. So let's go to your next role. You're a registered mediator and arbitrator in Georgia. How do
Yeah,
you handle uh, families where there are emotions are running high? My first question.
sure. So the first thing is I do a lot of mediation, but it's voluntary work. So I deal with families. Um, and it's basically, I guess, the positive side to mediation is that parties come to mediation and they have the ability to control the conversation, right? Because when you go to a judge, you don't really have that capability. The challenge would be to get people to come to mediation because a lot of people are not informed about what it is and how the process works. Once they're kind of informed, then it's a question of, can you facilitate a conversation to where sometimes in families, they don't want to come into the same room, right? So if you don't have that ability, even now we have technology where you can be on a Zoom, right? But they still have to be willing to come together. So that's could be a challenge, could be a benefit. Sometimes you might not want both people in the same room at the same time. But
Wow. So in US, what are the differences you see as a mediator, arbitrator, and dispute resolution laws?
As compared to another system, I think dispute resolution is similar in a lot of ways. For us, though, most people, when you go into family cases, they want to start with litigation, which is, again, time consuming, it's expensive, it's very adversarial. So if you look at mediation, it's a very open process, but people have to be open to it. I know that in India also the Mediation Act is relatively new. So to get people to understand, okay, I don't have to go in front of a judge. I can do this myself. But to have that kind of agency, be given that agency and kind of understand where it comes from, that just takes a little bit of time and understanding.
Wow. So, Zafira, what do you believe is the future of ADR, especially in the digital era?
So ADR for me is the present and the future, right? Because I don't think we can spend a lot of time. I don't spend a lot of time in the courtroom. So I don't think how do you say, it's not feasible for everyone to come into a courtroom, but it is possible to get on a Zoom or even have a phone call, right? Not everybody is as tech savvy as us. Some people prefer to use the phone, and however they want to resolve their dispute, that's their choice, which is why mediation is a good option because you can do it in a number of ways. But having said that, the technology allows for people in remote locations to get different kinds of services, which is wonderful. But there are also things to remember related to technology. There are always privacy concerns. And to see if you actually have internet connectivity is also, it's getting better. And it's working in most places, but there's always those hiccups. But definitely, technology will aid in dispute resolution. I think that disputes will be resolved a lot faster and in a better way for the people who are the parties, right? Because the whole point is to get towards a settlement. Everybody says, oh, you must get to an agreement. I don't see it that way. I think that even if you get people to have a conversation, that in itself is a win. If they can get it on paper, even better. But
Wow, yes,
it's not
that's
always the
beautiful.
case.
Okay, so let's go to your role as a writer.
Sure.
Uh, what got you interested in IP journalism? My first question. Second is, how do you decide on the topics?
So IP, intellectual property, has a lot of different aspects to it, right? If you invent a medical device or something that can be patented, you also have the ability to help others, right? Which is basically what we live for, right? Because at some level, everyone provides a service in some way. If you create music or you write something, to me, that's a way of sharing your experience with somebody else. And sharing experiences is how we as people are connected, right? I was on a webinar yesterday and they said, just because you have Wi-Fi doesn't mean you're connected to other people. It just means you have the ability to see who they're connected to. Now, if I say, Am I connected right now? Of course, because I'm having an actual conversation, right? So that's the difference in seeing what connectivity is. And I think as you have mediums of music and writing and things like that, that allows you to have that human connection. The other aspect of it is trade secrets and things of that nature. So that means that you create a process or you have something that you think is valuable that you want to share in some way, but you don't want to give everything away. So seeing all of that, IP journalism was a way for me to take the research skills I had, the passion for writing, and put it in a nice little package. So, yeah. As far as the topics that I choose right now, I'm a remote reporter for Northland's IP Marketing Limited, based in London. And every issue or every publication has its own like kind of topics and subtopics. So with the team, we kind of decide, okay, if this is the topic for the publication, then this is what will be written about. So
Wow. Okay. Uh, so from writing, you went
Mhm.
to interviewing. So what got you interested in doing interviews and what is your process steps?
Okay. So when I write, there are different types of writing, right? If you write for an academic journal, you're writing on a particular topic and you kind of know your audience, right? Because you know that if you're like, I've written for the American Arbitration's Dispute Resolution Journal. If I write for that publication, I know my audience. I choose the topic. I know what I'm writing about. Um, if you go forward and you say, okay, I want to interview somebody, that's a different kind of writing because you have a person in front of you. Uh,
Mm.
Normally, that person does have a plethora of experience and they have their current role. My research for that kind of looks at what the person has accomplished, what they are interested in, and to see based on what the topic is, how can I create questions to start a conversation similar to the one we're having now. So that in itself is a challenge, right? From going to, I know what I'm going to write about to, okay, I have a person here and I'm going to go through what I can find about them and then also create questions to have a foundation for a conversation. And then you see where it goes.
Wow. So did you have any standout memorable experience from the people you have interviewed or from your articles, your readers have connected with you and shared okay, why this has impacted them?
I think for interviewing, I've seen a wide range of people who have taken their experiences in different ways, which is always beautiful to see. Um, as far as my own writing, people send in emails and say, "Wow, this particular thing kind of reminded me of something or inspired me to do something different." And it's always nice to see the impact that you have on people.
Wow. So how has the academic journey from Manchester to Harvard to King's College London shaped your professional path?
So the academic journey has been somewhat unique. I chose to do undergrad in the UK because it was an undergraduate degree in law, and I wanted to see if I could figure out if my interest would stay, and see what it would be like to live in a different country. So the UK is a common law based legal system, so that provided a great foundation for that. And living in a different country, meeting people from all different walks of life gave you exposure to different ideas and different ways of looking at things. And I think it helped me grow as a person. From there, I went ahead to DC and I did my master's in international business law at the Washington College of Law in DC. It was founded by women. So that was one of the things we talked about Sri Shakti in the beginning. So that was one of the uh, reasons that I went there. And of course, the academic program and being in the capital and, having access to going to events in different law firms was a different experience. You got to see how the system kind of works. And be in that arena. So that was nice. And then you had a question about Harvard. So the Harvard, I did the PON, which is the program on negotiation online. So I did that around the time of the pandemic. And for me, that was learning about negotiation as separate from mediation and arbitration, kind of seeing how people negotiate, right? Seeing where their issues and their interests lie, and seeing that difference in negotiation versus all the other types of ADR.
Wow. So from the legal world, who has been your mentor or who has influenced you?
From the legal world, see, I've known a lot of people growing up who were attorneys. I think there's not one particular person, but there are always role models that you look up to. I'm trying to think of a name on the spot. Gosh.
It's fine. It's fine. You can
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about
experience
giving you one name because then
learning.
somebody else will say you
Yeah.
didn't.
Your experience of learning you got from
Yeah.
them. What is
Learning
it?
is basically that you can use your skills in different ways, right? Anything you learn in any profession, whether it's the law or any other thing, whether you're a scientist or a doctor, you learn some things that are always useful, like being able to communicate with others, being able to write. Those things you can always use. You don't have to be in a particular box to use your skills. I think that's the main learning.
Wow. Okay. So now, how has technology influenced you or helped you in your different roles?
Technology is helpful in definitely in doing research because you don't have to, go to one specific place. I think back in the day, you would have to go to a library to get all of your research. That's not the case anymore, which is beautiful. But there are also things that you have to watch out for, right? Like not everything is, I don't know if I want to say. Okay, so there are things that you can use that are credible online, but not everything is. So you have to use your own intuition and your own skill to figure out, is this something I can use? Is it something I can back up? Can I use this? And I mean, we can mention just the hallucinations with AI and things of that sort that are coming up now. And I think, it is a tool. It is a great tool, but there's always going to be some form of human element that you have to use behind it. No matter how good your large language models are or how sophisticated you make it, at the end of the day, a person created it. So you have to kind of be willing to look at, that side of things as well.
Ah, yes. So my last question for your professional journey round. As someone who's built a personal brand through both law and literature, what advice would you give to young legal professionals looking to explore multiple passions?
First thing is don't let anyone discourage you, right? Everyone will say, "Oh, you can't do this, and you don't have the time for this," or "Why do you think you should be able to do this?" It's You have to look at yourself as an individual, right? I think that generally people have forgotten that we are individuals. We have different talents, right? Not everyone is the same. So it's up to you what you want to do with the skills and the time that you have. You can decide whether you have a full-time job at a big law firm. If you enjoy that, that's wonderful. I personally have different roles that I do in different ways. I get work through a legal platform called Law Clerk, and I work on a project by project basis for that. I volunteer for my mediation and I write in the free time that I have. So,
Wow, that's beautiful. So let's go to next round and understand Zafira as a person. Is there a hobby or passion you have that would surprise most people?
well, I do most things by reading and writing, so maybe painting would surprise somebody that I paint.
Wow. Okay. When you're not deep in legal work or writing or mediating, how do you unwind?
Mm. Journaling, to reflect on what's going on, my thoughts or what's happening for the day, and then taking the time to go out in nature. I think that's very important.
Wow. So, who's been your biggest cheerleader in life?
In life, my immediate family, I have four cheerleaders, my parents and my siblings. I think that they're the ones who encourage me, to go after what I want. And, they're there to kind of be the sounding board, to see, if I want to do something like, hey, is it possible to do this? Of course it's possible, but how are we going to get around to it? So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So let's go memory down lane. Tell us about your first poem you wrote and what inspired you.
Honestly, I don't remember the first poem I wrote, because I've written so many. But what inspires me, I think just the concept of reflection and being able to see what's around you, right? There's so much noise today with your phone and your computers and things. So just being able to observe what's around you, I think is what inspires me.
Wow. So let's go to what inspired you to write a children's book and how was the journey?
Ah. The children's book, I think I have one here. It's
Ah,
called How I Know I Will Grow. I don't know if you can
woo.
see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, going through everything in life and seeing how people became so disconnected, right? Like we talked about being connected through technology, and yet on some level you're disconnected, right? Just remembering what's important in life. Everybody runs after things, right? Everybody has this thing. We must have the job. We must have this. Everything must look, as they say, hospital four corners. Everything should look good, right? But you have to remember what you value. So for me, I was actually looking for a book that had those things, like respecting the elders, being able to have gratitude for those who help you on the daily basis or who sacrifice, like the police, the firemen, the doctors and people who are there for you, who you don't really recognize. So those things are, I mean, you may recognize them, right? But it's not every day that everybody has the opportunity to go back and say, thank you for this or something like that. So for me, that was how I created the book because I was looking for something that had all of those attributes. I didn't find it. So I had the skill to write. I said, okay, if it's not there, I'm going to create it.
Wow. Beautiful. Yeah. So, Zafira, if your friends had to describe you in three words, what would it be?
3 words. They're giving me three. So seeker of knowledge, that's three, right?
Nice. Okay. Uh, okay. So, suppose you had 1 week away from work, what would you
Mhm.
do? Why?
What would I do? I think I'd turn my phone off. uh, Make sure that I didn't have, constant messages showing up, and then probably travel for a week.
Uh, where?
Where if I had anywhere to go in the world, I think, see, I haven't been to Asia as of yet, so, and I've always wanted to go to Singapore. I've seen it in pictures, so I think I would go to Singapore.
Uh, if someone had to visit Georgia or New York, according to
Mhm.
you, what places to visit and restaurants uh, and food to have?
Sure. So New York is a huge city. I think that anywhere in New York, you'd have a different experience because there are so many people and so many different kinds of cultures. You can go to Little Italy, you can go to Greek town, you can see so many things. You can go and see the Statue of Liberty, you can go to Central Park, you can do all those kinds of things. So I think it would just depend on your interest. You can go to a place where you can go to the pier and see, everything around there. So there are a lot of good places to go. I don't want to pinpoint one because it just depends on what you would enjoy. Atlanta, I would say try not to come in August because August is very humid. Other than that, you can come. It's a metropolitan city. There are lots of things to do. The museums, the Coca-Cola factory, there's all kinds of different things, whether you come and stay in the city or you go to a smaller place in the mountains and you have a cabin and you just want, that kind of remote feel where, if you just want to be on your own and find a trail with waterfalls and things like that, you can definitely go on the walking trail and do things like that. So, you know, a bunch of opportunities, just like any city. You can always find things.
Wow. Okay. Is there a book or movie that has inspired you?
A book or a movie? Let's see. I think the bucket list, right? That would be one because that just shows you like you can have a list of things, and then as you go through life or as you go through the list, you'll find more things out about yourself uh, than the things that are necessarily on the list.
Wow, beautiful. So, what are your plans for 2025 personally and professionally, Zafira?
2025, we're halfway done. So I think going forward, it's just expanding on the legal side, trying to find more opportunities to connect with other people and find ways to move forward and kind of innovate. Obviously, looking for different opportunities at any given time is, that's a constant, right? Because everybody wants to find the next the next place where they feel that whether you think you can learn, right? Because if you stay in one spot, it tends to get kind of boring. But if you have something you like, it's great, but it's always good to learn. So looking for new things. And personally, probably working on another book and just seeing the kinds of topics and things that I'm interested in.
Wow, beautiful. So, my last one is a googly one. Describe Zafira in one line.
One line. Did the three words, now I have one line. Um, One, I'm gonna, boy. I'll just say I'm unique. That's what I'll say.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, let's put you in the hot seat. The rapid fire round. Your go-to comfort food.
Go to comfort food. Mm, this is not gonna be rapid, is it? It's biryani.
Okay, you're a morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Fiction or non-fiction?
Fiction.
A poet you admire?
Um, Edgar Allan Poe, even though it's kind of
A quote you live by?
quote I live by. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Wow, beautiful. Your favorite color?
Purple.
Dream guest you would love to interview for legal publication?
Does that person have to be living or not?
It's fine. Living or
Mm,
dead, it's fine.
legal publication. Ah, I would say Gandhi if it's not, yeah.
Wow, beautiful. Okay. Uh, this is coming from an Ismaili. Favorite Ismaili cuisine?
Ah, So I'm trying to see. Okay. So basically, I would say samosa, the
Oh,
different way that we
biryani.
make samosa.
Samosa. Very good
Yeah.
one. Okay. Tea or coffee during work hours?
Coffee during
Yeah,
workouts.
you're on the coffee show. So let's
Yeah.
raise.
It's not coming here.
So you did well, and here's a gift which will be autographed and sent to you. So, friends, it was a lovely conversation with an international guest, Zafira Hudani. All those young women legal professionals, especially, you can have your legal career along with it, your passions, like how Zafira is an attorney, mediator, arbitrator, reporter, author. So you can have your passions, work on your passion along with your career, as she is doing volunteering also. You can become a volunteer also, contribute a social cause. So like that, there are 500 coffee speakers who have got inspiring journey. Subscribe to the channel, and if you are going to be featured, whether you are in India or anywhere part of the world, global, as this is now international. It is now 9 p.m. in India and morning for Zafira. So we have covered international speakers also. So visit our website, the Emerging India Forum, or our LinkedIn page, or connect with the coffee speaker. They will put in word and invite you to have coffee conversations. So take care. Welcome to the Emerging Professional Series at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme